Hi guys, welcome to the In the Game Room podcast. As you can see, I'm not in the game room. I'm not in the workshop. I'm not at a convention. I am at a mystery place. Actually, I'm at the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas. I came here today to do someone else's show. The War Room is the name of the show, and it's out of Scotland, and the guys that do it are Paul and Harrison. It is a bolt action specific show podcast thing. And I've been a fan of theirs for a while because as I was learning the game myself, I watched their videos and listened to them describe, different rules, different armies, things like that. So it's been very educational for me. So when I heard they were going to be in Vegas, I contacted them and said, hey, let's get together and do a show together. And since it's just a 4-hour drive for me instead of a 8 or 10-hour plane ride for them, I thought, piece of cake, I'll just come out and do their show. So I did. And what I'm going to show you here is most of what the interview, or not interview, it wasn't an interview, it was a sit down and chat really. I'm going to show you most of that here. You can also check out their video on their channel. I'll put a link in the description down below. I urge you to check it out and check out all their videos and subscribe to them as well. A couple of really great guys. On a personal note, it's just kind of cool how this hobby brings people together. There's no other way in the world that I would have met these two people from Scotland in Las Vegas. There's no other reason why that would have ever happened. But this hobby, brought us together, and we had a cool little sit-down chat about a game that we have in common. So that was really kind of cool. So hope you enjoy the next segment, and it's going to be in their room when we just sat down and had a chat about bolt action, some new things that they just bought from me and I brought to them, and a few other things. So there you go. Check it out and check out their channel and subscribe to them. Thanks a lot. See you guys on the other side. Good.
Aloha! This is the War Room, and this is also
In the Game Room.
And I'm here with Harrison, and I'm with Paul.
And I'm here with Harrison and Paul, and I'm Alan.
And we're all here with Alan, yeah. Alan, tell us a bit more about your company and your background.
Okay. My company is Gamecraft Miniatures at gcmini.com. We manufacture mostly scenery and some miniatures for everything from 3mm to 28mm and everything in between. We've been around for nearly 9 years now and going strong, and I've just recently got into bolt action myself, so that's how I got to know these guys, and kind of brings us to where we are right now.
Excellent. And Harrison and I, for those in the game room, we run our own show, The War Room, which is bolt action specific, so 28mm is what we're into, but we will talk about other stuff if we have to.
And their podcast is great. Their YouTube show is great. That's how I found these guys, because I wanted to learn more about bolt action, and I found them, and it's been very entertaining.
And we're here in, it's not sunny Las Vegas anymore, it's dark Las Vegas. We're here just at about 7 o'clock in the evening, and I have a little box in front of me of goodies.
Yep.
Which have come from GC Minis, which I did pay for, by the way. No freebies on this show.
No freebies on the show.
But what have we got inside the box? Well, get rid of all the stuff we don't need. There's a lot of packing in the box, and we've got a couple of things in here to show you guys. But more importantly, in the box from GC Minis, you get sweeties. So that's brilliant. And what have we got?
What have we got?
Yeah, well, this I saw in one of Alan's podcasts, videos, and although you can't see it because we haven't got it set up here, so we didn't really think this through, quite Alan. But this is a LED light painting station with its own power supply, and it's got little bases there, comes made up like this, I believe, Alan?
Yep.
And you get a brilliant light under here. We will do a video on this specifically, and you get to paint your minis under here with a brilliant daylight light.
Right.
But we're going to cover that more in another video from the War Room anyway. And then in the other packet we have
it's one of our
Ruined House.
It's a bolt action specific World War II European building in ruins.
In ruins. Take that so we don't get in the nose. And comes out, first impressions are that there are not many parts, which is good because it appears to be very simple to put together. So unlike some other manufacturers we could mention, yes, there's not a lot of putting together. This is going to go together really very easily. What do you reckon about it?
It looks pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yeah, we have a pre-made building, which is worth having a look.
So once you get it made up, this is what it looks like. We will get some close-up shots of this to put in picture here somewhere. But we've got burnt out ruins, and it's quite a detailed model. There's the archway to the door, etc. is in there. And you've got full access round the back to all the floors.
Yep.
So ideal for 28mm, which is what it's designed for, obviously.
Exactly.
Is this designed to be from any particular part of Europe, or?
No, it's just sort of that generic European flavor. I traveled a lot in Paris, and I took a lot of pictures of buildings there, and I got quite a bit of inspiration for different window styles and door styles and things like that, and some trim. But yeah, I try to make them as generic as possible. So otherwise, you'll be making buildings for every single region of every single country. So, you know, my thinking is this: in most big European cities in World War II, this will fit in fairly well.
Excellent. Does this come as an unburned out house?
Yes, most of the buildings I make come in two versions.
The two versions.
And the unruined version will have a back that's removable, so you can still get in there and put your
So
feet
rather than
on.
having the different floors, with the full house, you would pull the back off and you would have access to the floors that way, which
Exactly right.
probably is a lot simpler in many ways.
Yep.
And what sort of range do you have just now of 28mm buildings?
In the European style, there's probably about a dozen. When you get into the Middle Eastern and Northern Africa style buildings, there's quite a few more of those. And we'll be adding to the line quite a bit in the near future.
So just a couple of things about this. There's no bits to punch out on these. These come with all the bits punched out. Some other manufacturers we could mention, the small bits in here, I don't know if you can see them, but you'd be punching bits out of these slots. Right. This comes ready to put together, nothing else but glue to add.
Yeah, they go together really quickly. I mean, I've done several of them, so I can put one of these together in 5 minutes, but first try you're going to be about 10 minutes.
So that's going to be Harrison's first job in life, is going to be punching the bits out of these kits.
I don't really build. I don't really have reviews of things, but like, is it hard to make? Is it pretty easy? Do you just put a piece of like wood through it and it cuts it all out for you?
Yeah, I put one single sheet into the laser and it just goes around and cuts out all the parts, and when you're done, just pick up the parts and throw away the scrap.
Maybe this should be your first build.
Maybe.
Yeah. So we'll have a look at that and we'll come back to that maybe, guys. But how about talking a bit of bolt action?
Yes.
Good for both our... Right, so you're recently into bolt action, the last year or so?
Yeah, since about March of this year I started. I bought the Band of Brothers starter set, and that was the start of the disease.
Wonder how many armies we all have now. So what are the things that have impressed you with bolt action as a game?
Well, for me, because I work in the industry, I'm always working around miniatures and always working around structures and buildings and things like that. When I get away from work and I want to play a game, it has to be fun, quick, and easy. And bolt action fills the bill on all three accounts. It's something I can put aside an hour or two for and just immediately start playing, immediately start having fun, and it's rewarding. It's just good.
Yeah, we can be talking for ages about bolt action as well.
It's like sometimes when we film, we've got too much content. A lot of times there's no new things happening.
You guys don't see the secret content. So you put up a podcast, video cast recently where you were playing one of your good friends at bolt action, and although maybe not all the rules were super clear, or some of the rules were super clear, you still had fun playing. You're both playing the same rules, and it's just one of those games that seems to be a friendly game.
It's a very friendly game, and if we get the rules wrong, it's okay, we keep playing. We try to learn from our mistakes, and a lot of times we film our games so that we'll have a record of it, and sometimes that works for my podcast, sometimes it doesn't. But it gives us a chance to go back and figure out what it is we did wrong, and and get better and have more fun.
And what are your thoughts on mortars? Have you used them? Do you think they're useful? Because I just don't like them, but everyone seems to use them now. Is it just me?
The last game we played, I think, was our mortar game, where the first time we played mortars, and it was fun. It got to the point at the end where the only people left on my side were the mortar crew, and they're virtually useless because they can't pick up their sidearms and fight. They have to keep firing the mortar when they're inside a house and they've got no spotter, so they just ran away. But it was really fun. It brought a whole different aspect to the game that we never played before. Having a spotter up in the top of one of these buildings, you know, where you could see everything, and he's virtually impossible to hit.
Well, with the Super 6s or the Super Impossible shot, it's only ever 6 followed by 6.
Right.
It never increases, so yeah, it can be hard.
It's
And you were
very
right, they're always treated as being in
Down,
cover.
yeah.
Sorry, down, yeah.
Down and
Unless
hard
they've got a
cover.
dice beside them rather than the mortar. But.
Yeah, so my guy up here was down and hardcover, so I mean he was virtually
They
impossible
are
to
difficult.
hit.
Assault.
Yeah.
Assault is your anti.
That's what he did. My friend was playing Japanese, which is funny. Speaking of just having fun playing, we were playing Japanese versus U.S. Marines in a European city.
Yeah.
So it's just
Yeah,
fun. Who cares, you know?
We've seen some weirder ones,
Yeah,
but
but yeah, he ended up assaulting and doing his bonsai charge on my.
yeah, that's the way
Oh
you
my
get
God.
rid of them.
And that's how
the
we
way
got
you
it.
get rid of them.
But yeah, I think they're fun. I think mortars are fun.
So, because we've got possibly a broader audience than here than either of us have individually, what did you find about Bolt Action? That what was easiest? What was the easiest thing about Bolt Action?
Easiest thing, the fact that the things you have to remember are so simple. The movement, 6 and 12 inches. The ranges, 9 and 18, and those. There's only so many things you have to remember. Where a lot of other games, every single weapon has a different range, a different rate of fire. It's just less to remember, and it's just more. It's faster to learn, and when you're playing, it moves faster because you're not constantly going to the book. When I'm playing, I can put the book away. I get that little cheat sheet, the quick reference chart. That's all you need to play, and that's.
It's quick and easy. It's almost like a coffee table game, but not quite.
Right, exactly.
But it's nearly there, isn't it? It's simple to
and
pick up.
still it's not dumbed down to the point where it's just silly. And there are games like that, It's still fun and interesting and semi-historic, and you can play it as historically as you want or not. And yeah, it's just good times.
Out of the three of us here, I probably play the most at the moment. And Harrison probably plays a bit more than Alan, I guess. So what did you find? What did you find about Bolt Action that hooked you into it?
I think it was mainly setting. Like used to play 40k and stuff, and it was cool. But I really like history, and also when everyone else started playing it, I was hesitant because no one else seemed to play it at the club, and then everyone started playing it, and I was like, yeah, let's go for it. But in general, I don't play it a lot. I could, but I don't as much as I'd like to.
But you're at that age where you're going out on a Friday night, which is club night. So over some other games we could mention, it's much easier. It's cheaper to get into. It's more accessible.
Yeah.
It's possibly for America. It's finding groups of people who are playing it. Though.
Right. Yeah. The accessibility of being able to buy like a starter set or something and being at that point ready to play with just that. I think that's nice. There's some games where you feel like you have to own everything to play. Or Bolt Action, you can if you want. And those of us who have the disease badly, we just keep buying more and more. But you don't have to.
Yeah, we've got cases and cases of stuff. Yeah, but
unbuilt and stacking up.
But you're right. It definitely isn't necessary, and you can play small games.
You can play on this
even
table.
on this table here. You can play a small game, or you can play larger games. In fact, we've got videos where we're playing games on 32 feet. No. 24 feet tables.
Wow, nice.
With Chris Brown on our show, one of the guys who has a hand in writing the Market Garden book, which will be coming out in February. So in Bolt Action we have specific books for supplements, we call them, so we can play different scenarios and things. So yeah, size isn't important.
Contrary to popular belief, size does not matter.
It doesn't. So, but we find that a lot of converts are coming across to Bolt Action from some of the larger games,
right.
And in those games you might specifically collect one army. In Bolt Action, as you get drawn into it, because the armies are cheaper, we tend to see people collecting armies. So there's a lot more. maybe not a lot more. In my opinion, there might be a lot more variety can be had, even though the rule sets are very similar for different armies in Bolt Action. So you don't get the, what I would call the Space Marine deer in the headlights, where you suddenly get a guy pops up with his special power, and on a 1+ I kill your entire army.
Right.
That you didn't know about.
So how many armies do you collect, do you think? How many
Bolt
different armies
Action?
you got? Yeah, Bolt Action wise.
That's a bit unfair because I'm a painter, so I can have a lot of armies. Armies I play commandos. Royal Marine Commandos is what I like to play. So I have Royal Marine Commandos, but I also now have a Russian list, which I'll be playing, and those are the only two. Oh, I've got a Japanese list, but I don't think I'll be playing those again, with lots of Stuarts in it.
I've got the regular Germans. I've got the SS. I've got the American U.S. Marines, American Rangers, American Airborne, and I'm about to start Finnish ski squads.
Finns are becoming pretty popular now, I think.
And what about you, Harrison?
I got commandos and country folk. If you've done the Sea Lion, they're fun.
So now, when you say commandos, you mean British commandos.
Yeah, Royal Marine Commandos.
Hey, remember, you're in America now.
Ooh. And I'm trying to write Yugoslavians, but that's really difficult.
Yeah, well, you're
That's
going to
so
try and write
difficult.
Yugoslavian rules, aren't
Yeah.
you? I am writing a PDF, hopefully, for Operation Chariot, which was a World War II British combined ops operation with commandos, and probably something you might be interested in, because I believe you're trying to come up with rules for
The private saving Private Ryan scenario.
which was the sticky bombs.
Sticky bombs, yeah.
And I'm coming up with rules for policing demolition charges.
Okay, very similar.
So, similar idea. So how are you getting on with the sticky bomb rules?
Well, I wrote up what I think is the first draft of the rule, and it looks good. I just need to play it and see how it plays. I'm concerned that it's going to be, either too effective or not effective enough. It might have to tweak the rules a little bit to, to keep it fun and keep it fairly realistic. But I think I've come up with a good start, and I need to come up with an additional die roll for what happens if you miss. So if you're charging a tank with a sticky bomb and you trip and fall, that could be really bad for you.
It could be.
So I need to write that into the rules, and there's always the chance that it just doesn't detonate at all, So I want to put some kind of randomizer in there that says, okay, you've made your charge, you got to the tank, and before we go for damage to the tank, let's see if things go badly in between. So you got to come up with some system for that.
Might be worth having a look at the Sea Lion supplement, because they have specific demolition teams in that. And it might be something you can build on or use. It's certainly what I'm going to base mine on, simply because it's already there in the book. But it'd be worth having a look at. Might give you some ideas.
I'll look at that, and then also probably the Japanese, the anti-tank.
The suicide bomb. Oh, they are serious. If you can get
Similar.
this, in Bolt Action, the Japanese have a unit which is a suicide bomber, and for those who play Bolt Action, he has a +8 penetration. But then he does blow himself up, and so there's pros and cons with being a suicide bomber.
Yeah, I'm hoping the Rangers and the Airborne guys don't blow themselves up, but there is a chance of that, and it happened in the movie. So we want to trying to make this very cinematic, very thematic.
Which is going to tie in with the scenery nicely.
Yes, yeah,
Excellent stuff.
yeah. So that'll be fun. I'm working on that
What other things are you working on? I'm sure it's not just Bolt Action.
mostly.
Good man, we have a convert.
No. There's a couple other projects I'm working on. I'm working on a new line of 6mm European buildings. They're actually very, very similar to these, and they're going to be very high-resolution 3D printed buildings. Because when you get into buildings like this, you can't resin cast this in 6mm because of all the undercuts under the floors and things like that. But if it's 3D printed using stereolithography, which is very high resolution, you don't get all those crazy lines that you normally see. They'll be real nice. I've done a couple of test shots on a couple of models, and they look really good. So I just need to expand the line before I release that. I don't like to release 1 or 2 models in a series. I want to do 6 or 8 to start with, and then we can build on that later. So when I get about 6 or 8 buildings in that series, I'll release those, and they're going to be, like I said, they'll be very, very similar to these. Some of them are these scaled down, so that's one thing I'm working on. And there's a couple other 28mm things I'm working on that aren't specific to bolt action, but can be used with different, gaming systems. A lot of different buildings. I've been working on a landing craft, a US LCT, I think it is, one for tanks. Working on one of those in MDF.
Oh, quite big though.
It's quite big, yeah. So that'll be real impressive. So there's always a lot of stuff going on.
Glad to hear. So, we all have lots of little projects going on, and you were saying in your podcast that the steam had gone out a little of your podcast, I think, and you were reinvigorating it. So do you have any plans for that? You were talking about getting maybe more people on the podcast.
Yeah, the audio podcast. I do an audio podcast and I do the video YouTube show. The audio podcast, I was running out of steam on that, because when you're by yourself and you're just speaking to a microphone, you're not getting any feedback. You're not bouncing off another person. It gets difficult to do. And you get halfway through it and you're just like, you lose your train of thought and you just give up. So it was getting difficult. So I've started adding, the last one was a telephone call in from my friend Chris, who's my gaming buddy, and we talked for about an hour just about bolt action and other games and stuff, and that went really well. It was fun, and it kind of forces me to be more social. I'm a bit of an introvert, even though I'm here doing this right now. Yeah. I don't get on well with people, but this forced me to pick up the phone and call my best friend and just have a chat for an hour, which is something I don't normally think about very much because I'm so inside myself. And it worked out great, so I'm going to try to do a lot more of that stuff. And using technologies like Skype and stuff, you can get 3 or 4 people calling in at once and have a 4-way conversation. So that's what I'm going to try to do with the audio portion. The video just takes care of itself because you can show things. And, it's easy. I can do that myself and demonstrate a technique or whatever, but it's the audio that gets a little difficult when you're there by yourself. So
I haven't watched all of your YouTube videos, but do you do any painting videos? Because some of the work you did on the SS, I don't know if you saw them, Harrison, but the work you did on the SS sculpts, the new sculpts from Warlord, were looking really good. So did you have any plans maybe along those lines for your channel?
Yeah, I'd like to do that, and you're doing some of those too, aren't you, on yours?
We've done a couple, and we've got plans to expand the war room out and do some other things and some crazy stunts that we were talking about tonight.
Yeah.
We might tell you about more of those tonight, actually. But
yeah, I'd like to do more of the demo stuff. I've done. The name of the podcast is In the Game Room, but quite often at the beginning of the show I'll make the joke, I'm not in the game room, I'm in the workshop. And I'll show a technique, and how to build something or how to paint it or whatever. But yeah, I want to get into more of that because I'm not the best at what I do, but I do know what I'm doing, and I'd like to share that with people that are just getting started. And
of course you have a history in model building in general.
Yeah, that's all I've ever done as a profession. I worked in aerospace for 30 years as a model maker. So
there's lots of things that you can bring to us that we've never seen before.
Most likely, yeah. The techniques, tools, materials, things model makers may never think of.
And that's one of the crazy things about our hobby from wargamers, is wargamers and modelers don't often seem to mix.
No, and
for some odd reason, which makes absolutely no sense to me.
They should. They should. Why not build something and then play with it?
Yeah.
That's what I think.
So there's an awful lot of techniques out there from modelers that us wargamers can learn, and hopefully vice versa.
Vice versa, for sure. I've learned a lot in the last couple of years from all the content that's online now from wargamers. Techniques that I just never thought of, or that we didn't use in the industry. I'm used to big tools, big models, your convention, trade show models, things like that. When you get into some of the smaller stuff, there's different techniques that I may have never used before. I've owned an airbrush for 40 years, but there's airbrushing techniques I'm still learning, from guys like you. And
I've only just started airbrushing, so.
Oh, you got some catching up to do then.
Oh, you've seen the videos.
You're all right.
Dear. If only I knew everything.
Nobody
But
does.
yeah, it's well worth thinking about having other people on the show. I know from my point of view, Harrison stops me doing a lot of crazy stuff that I shouldn't ever get involved in. So it's worth having somebody to put the brakes on.
Yeah, it could be good.
Could be good. So guys,
Is that good?
anything else that we need to add for this episode? I think we're just about running out of steam
Yeah, I
here
think we're
for
good.
just now.
Yeah.
And so we'll wish all the guys on the game room and the workshop, the
Yep.
workroom, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to this fine young man beside us.
And these two.
Excellent. And we're on the War Show. And please like, comment, lots of comments below please. We like to be asked questions and we love constructive criticism. But keep it constructive.
Yeah.
Mahalo for now guys.
That's it.